What's up, guys? Chris Moulton, Andrew Martin. It's the Union Report. We got the gaffer here, Jordan Stewart. How you doing today?
Good, thank you. Another sunny day.
Yeah.
Never complain when it's sunny.
Exactly.
This is the hottest spot on the entire peninsula. Right here.
Literally.
Like where we're sitting.
Always. I don't understand why. It's like fog everywhere else, but right here, it's always a bit of sunshine. So Jordan, open tryouts just happened, and we're kind of curious as far as, I guess, the process. Were you just running guys through drills? We didn't make it to the open tryout. We're unfortunately
too old.
Yeah, we got cut before we made the first cut. So, can you kind of walk us through what took place?
No, I think every combine's different. I think with us, putting the players in game environments. So we had 2 games on the Saturday and another 2 games on the Sunday. We kind of broke it up into 3 30-minute games. So the first on the Saturday, the guys that played 60 minutes, then only played 30 minutes on the second day.
Okay.
For you're going to get a 90 minutes of the game, which is normal, but then also to kind of stop any injuries. I've been to combines before, and there's the guys are getting run through like 2-3 days, and then a bunch of injuries end up happening. So then you can't even get the guy if you like someone to come in for preseason.
Yeah.
Right? So we kind of was conscious about making sure that we was able to see players in a game environment, but also try and have them finish rather than getting injured. So no, it was good. There's a few players we identified that we'll be sending out emails today to come out to preseason. So
awesome.
So it was definitely worth the while for sure.
Nice. And can you tell us roughly how many total players came out for the open trial?
I think we had around about 70 players.
Oh, wow.
So there was a good turnout.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple people that we invited as well, local kids and kids that flew in as well for the weekend. So obviously after we spoke to the players and said how happy we was of the level, but also knowing you putting hands in your pocket to get out here. So obviously some people can't do that. So the guys that was able to come out it was hugely beneficial for ourselves.
Nice. Andrew?
So I kind of assume that when you have a tryout like this, you could roughly split the group of players into like the dreamers, and then the players that have kind of like a noticeable level of talent of some degree. Just generally speaking, is there something specific that you're looking for that helps players in a situation like that stand out? Does that make sense?
I think if you look at what happened on the weekend, there was a couple guys in one of the groups that on the second day we changed over just because from what we can see, right? I think it's always hard to determine like what makes a good player. You have the obviously the obvious characteristics of like hard work and all that kind of stuff, but sometimes I feel for me it's you see something within the first couple of minutes of how they play, how they get into position, how they get into spaces, how they touch on the ball to identify to move the ball forward or to move it back and move around. So I think it's little subtle nuances that you see as a coach and kind of what I used to see as a player that you kind of like recognize, okay, maybe they have something, and then you obviously you put it down on the piece of paper and then kind of take more of a in-depth look of even like what school they went to and see if you could see clips from there. So there's a lot of details, but I think the finer details it's hard to put like one finger on it and say, this is it.
Right. Okay.
So I know from coaching youth baseball in my own personal life for years, there was always that like, hey, we're watching what's going on when you're not on the field. Yeah. Is that something that you guys do? You see how a guy carries himself from the locker room to the field, how he laces up his boots, that kind of stuff, the intangibles?
Yes and no. Sometimes it's hard with so many players, and you're kind of focusing on the game, and then as soon as that game's finished, there's more different teams coming on. But I think within the game of like how they're talking, are they encouraging, are they shouting, are they getting upset if they don't get the ball, if they lose the ball, are they backtracking? So I think more within the game of what they can do, and then when you speak to the player, and then kind of see how they are as a person. But all the guys were good. There was no like misdemeanors. There was no shouting. You know what I mean? If someone, like, I don't know, had a shot and missed, everyone was more positive rather than negative. So I think it was a great environment, and I think everyone on the staff and as an organisation was happy that it went, and the players that we got, it was the standard was very good. So that's kind of the main thing, right? You don't want to hold combines and the standard not be great, and then you end up be like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now, like I said, there's a few guys that we're gonna be trying to bring in. They may have other commitments at other combines, but we'll be sending out that email today.
Nice. Andrew?
Yeah, and from your time here with Monterey Bay, and then obviously also with San Jose, do you have a good feeling that just in the general area that there's a pipeline of talent that can be tapped to kind of continue this and make it a self-sustaining model?
No, 100%. I think, like years down the line, you want to have a academy from under 10s all the way up to first team, right? Because the surrounding areas is, even when I was at the Quakes, there was a lot of guys from Salinas, Watsonville, Seaside, obviously knowing Howell, who was a local guy that was in Monterey too, then went over to town, now has come back. So I think there's talent. I think NorCal is probably there, and SoCal is probably where you find the most talent, maybe because of the weather, because it's all year round as well, right? So guys can be outside for longer periods. Maybe not in like Vermont. No.
You'd be outside for about 2 months.
Yeah, probably more ice hockey over there. But, but now I think there's definitely a pipeline, and it's something that we've discussed of trying to start implementing that within the organisation. So I think over the next 2-3 years, then you'll see that kind of change evolve for sure.
Okay.
So I have a follow-up question. As far as a combine, I've heard players going on trial with the team.
Yeah.
How does that differ from like a combine exactly? You would probably know these things.
No, yeah.
Asking.
No, it's a good question. So basically a combine is just a group of individuals, right, come in to showcase their ability. And then when you come on trial, so like say for instance, the guys, we want to see them in our environment.
Oh, okay.
Because no disrespect, the environment is going to be at a high level.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can have a guy in a combine that's lights out, but then you get him in your environment, and he doesn't really seem lights out because he's obviously playing with better players. So I think that's the biggest difference. You want to see him in a combine, and you can see they have something, but you want to get them into your environment to see if they still stand out, or if they can hang, or do they help the players around them. So I think that's the biggest difference between the two.
Interesting. Okay, Andrew?
Yeah, I just want to shift gears to kind of the off-season. The club's obviously been making regular announcements about the comings and goings of players. From our perspective, from my perspective, it seems like there's certainly a plan in play that's being adhered to pretty closely. A lot of interesting players coming in. As the preseason approaches, how are you feeling about the plan that's been implemented so far?
No, I'm super excited. Even today, a few guys was out there training, so it's always good to see guys and looking fit and ready to go. So no, I think we during the back end of last season, even when we was in, we was still focused on the season, but also focusing on for preseason and teams we're going to be playing, and obviously the type of player, the type of style we want to implement, and then obviously bringing in the staff that's probably going to be announced officially like in the next few days. But I think it's there's targets that you want, sometimes you don't get them, and then that's why you have to do like a deep dive of all the positions, especially if you know you're having a high output of players, and obviously then you have to search, and obviously between myself, Simon, Eli, and the new staff that's coming in between us, we're just trying to speak to agents, speak to players. Obviously I know few players that we've signed already just from being in Next Pro, and like I said, we wanted to go younger than we was last year. I think we was the oldest starting 11 last season. I think it was Detroit that was second. So that doesn't mean you're a bad team because you got older team. Because like I said, Detroit made the playoffs, right? Yeah. So But
so that means that having a younger club or even a younger starting 11 does not scare you.
No. I think there's never an age on if a player's good or not. You're either good or you're not. Right? I don't think you can have more experience and understand more of the game. But I think in general, I think that's why we're coaches, right? Our job is to coach, is to help the guys develop and get them to a level where you think we can compete. So, yeah, and I think that's with me. Yeah, you wanna win games, but you also want to develop, and I think you can do those both at the same time. So, having younger players, I think it gives added hunger to them guys. To maybe prove that where they want to be, right? Whether it's the MLS, whether it's abroad. I think we all have ambitions to get to certain places, and like for us is to help facilitate that. But the only reason you can do that is when you're winning games. Ultimately, you want to win, right? So the more games we win, the more spotlight gets on us, and then hopefully, like when it's all said and done, we're coming back here with a big parade.
That's right.
Yeah.
When the transfer window opens and CR7.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Yeah, just take a picture of the sun now.
Exactly.
Sure, game.
So I think the biggest question on all of Monterey Bay FC fans' minds is the goalkeeper situation. I assume you guys are, actively doing that. Is there anything you can tell us right now about how the search is going? Have you identified some guys? Any kind of updates?
I'm sure there's going to be some updates within the coming days, maybe. But yeah, we'll by the time preseason comes, we'll have goalkeepers.
Okay,
so like someone's standing.
Yeah, there's good. And it's not gonna be no staff. Nah, listen. I think you lose 2 goalkeepers. It's sometimes you never want to do that. But I think we've been on a search, and obviously Jeremy Clark, who's joined us as my assistant, but also knows the goalkeeper from when he was goalkeeper coach at the Quake. So I think he has an in-depth understanding of that. And then listen, we're speaking to goalkeepers and agents, and we'll have obviously guys coming in for preseason as well. But I wouldn't be scared. No.
Okay.
So yeah, everything's running smoothly at the minute. So we're probably around about 85% there,
nice.
As in squad. So like I said, hopefully this week or next week there'll be some further announcements of player signings. So that's kind of the next stage. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's all I got. Andrew, you got anything else?
I'm good. I'm tapped out.
All right. Well, thanks so much again for taking the time to chat with us, Jordan.
Yeah.
We appreciate it always, and we're rooting for you to get that last, 15%.
Yeah.
And ready for
It's coming.
preseason. All right, thanks.
Cool. Good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Good stuff. Well done.
Thank you very much.